the real problem is that it does that.
Yeah, well, that's
the first drink does that. My dad tells this, you know, I hope I get the family story right, but he's a kid of 17 or 18, and he's kind of struggling at that point with school, and he goes to a family function, and he's got that one uncle who's a real jerk.
Yeah.
And the uncle pins him down at the dining room table, and he says to him, he goes, Baz, are your grades a function of your inability to commit to work, or are you just stupid? And it was such a nasty question. And my dad immediately, you know, he blushed. And, you know, people who blush know that they're blushing.
Mm-hmm.
And then that causes more blushing, which of course causes the eye watering. And it was a devastating moment for him. And then about 2 weeks later, he and his dad are sitting, and his dad unfortunately was an alcoholic, and, you know, didn't live very long as a consequence, but they're sitting on the deck having a little bit of a beer. And then he goes in, and the uncle does the same thing. So have we solved the great mystery? Are you stupid or lazy? And my dad did not blush. And my dad said, you know, I would entertain your question if I thought there was any sincerity in all of this. I recognize that it's just through your own smallness that you're attempting to hurt me. I'm going to let it go. And then at that point, my dad was like, it's socially irresponsible not to go out without at least a beer.
Right. Yeah. Well, it definitely is a confidence enhancing substance, especially
but it's an illusion.
Sensitive to that. Damn right, it's an illusion. Yeah. You know, and I say that as someone who quite enjoyed drinking. I mean, I had quite the blast as a consequence of it. But I also noticed that, especially when I was in Montreal and starting to grow up, let's say, and take on serious responsibilities, that every time I had done something or said something that I regretted, it was when I was drinking. And I thought at one point, maybe I don't want to live a life where I'm continually or even sporadically wishing that I hadn't said or done something. You know, and I'm very much unlikely to do that if I'm sober and clear-headed.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me in Prince George. It was exactly that conversation with myself. And initially I decided 6 months off, and then I just never went back to it.
Yeah. Well, you know, the other thing I think that happened too is I started drinking when I was pretty young, like 14, you know, and I had a certain degree of social anxiety. I mean, I'm very extroverted, but well, I think everybody has a certain degree of social anxiety when they're like 14, because like, what the hell do you know, and that's probably exacerbated around girls. And that alcohol, because it enhances sociability and also suppresses anxiety, is a good social anxiety medication. But the problem is you don't learn how to conduct yourself as a sober individual in social circumstances. And you learn very rapidly to rely on the alcohol, not only as a social lubricant, but as the basis of your social behavior. And I would say, to young people who are watching, listening, that's a stupid plan. You should learn how to be in a social group with others when you're sober, so that you bloody well know how to do it, especially if you're planning to do anything even vaguely serious and responsible with your life, which is, probably something you should be doing.
A good friend of mine, exactly my age, within a few months, I quit at 21, he quit at 31, and we were both 34, 35. We were out with some friends and we're dancing and having fun, and I'm just me. And I'm actually more introverted, so I'm not super outgoing, but I'm still having a great time. I'm dancing, I'm having fun, and he comes up to me and he goes, "How do you do that?" He goes, I can't do that now without the alcohol. And I go, because I learned to do it without the alcohol.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's definitely something to that. Yeah, well, I found that social occasions were somewhat awkward, and also, I would say also that I didn't exactly know what to do without that false camaraderie that alcohol produces, and that inflation of confidence and extroversion as well. Yeah, not a wise developmental strategy, all things considered. All right, so we're back to when you're 8, and now you're a Canadian. Okay, so you're not in boarding school at that point, and
No.
Where are you living?
Halifax, Nova Scotia.
In Halifax.
Yeah.
And how long were you guys on the East Coast?
I think I left there to go live with my dad at late 12.
Yeah.